As a country deeply rooted in religion, Iran has established numerous long-standing and unusual rules. Prohibitions on dog ownership, restrictions on social media use, and the prohibition of using the thumb, among many other illogical laws, are enforced in this nation. Let's explore 15 prohibitions and peculiarities that only exist in Iran to see what is truly happening in this country. Number 15. Prohibition of pointing the shoe at others. Pay attention to your shoes when in Iran, as you might face unwarranted aggression simply because of the shoes you are wearing. It does have a reason, not entirely unwarranted, but you will certainly be surprised if you are unaware of this cultural norm. In Islamic culture, the shoe is considered impure, symbolizing something dirty and associated with evil spirits. Therefore, pointing the shoe at another person is considered disrespectful and taboo in this region. When visiting Islamic countries, especially Iran, it is important to avoid sitting cross-legged while talking to locals. When in the presence of Muslims, it is advisable to sit with both feet flat on the ground to avoid unnecessary conflicts. This should not be taken lightly, as the Islamic community in Iran can be easily provoked, and they may be willing to attack or even harm foreigners if they feel provoked or offended. Another concerning aspect is that many locals in Iran possess firearms, and the use of firearms is almost unrestricted as long as they have a valid reason. The Iranian government often defends its citizens against perceived foreign aggression, including foreigners who have violated their rules, and the locals are only punishing them justly. Number 14. Prohibition of dancing in public places. If you've just arrived from Brazil and learned some interesting dance moves, it's not advisable to showcase them in public in Iran. In this country, dancing in the streets can lead to severe consequences. Expressive and provocative dance moves are officially prohibited by the Iranian Drug Control Headquarters, as they believe it is associated with the use of stimulants. Additionally, the religious police in Iran know that these regulations and public behaviors are in place to protect Islamic values and principles. In some cases, street dancing is considered inappropriate in alignment with religious values. In mild cases, the police or authorities may issue warnings or reminders to those participating in street dancing, especially if they are not causing significant disruption or disturbance. However, almost every case will not be overlooked easily. The police may arrest you, take a blood sample to test for the use of stimulants, and if positive, you may face corporal punishment or even imprisonment. Number 13. Prohibition of mentioning the Persian Gulf. A phrase you absolutely should not mention while standing on Iranian soil is the term Persian Gulf. The Persian Gulf holds great geographical and historical significance for Iran. Throughout history, it has been the foundation of the ancient civilization and culture of the Persian people, one of the world's largest ancient civilizations. The term Persian Gulf is the true traditional name used by Iran and is considered a symbol of the country's history and culture. The use of this term reflects Iran's desire to maintain national honor and assert sovereignty over the territories surrounding the Gulf. The use of Persian Gulf, or Arabian Gulf, has become a prolonged political, cultural, and historical issue between Iran and some Arab countries. Iran and some Arab countries, such as Saudi Arabia, have opposing views on what to call this body of water. Iran often uses the term Persian Gulf, while some Arab countries call it the Arabian Gulf. In the political context, the use of these terms reflects the controversy and contradictions regarding territory, history, and international relations between the countries. Iran is particularly staunch in this matter. They have repeatedly threatened to shoot down U.S. warships in the Gulf and warned Google Maps about naming the Gulf on their maps. Meanwhile, people in Iran and any foreigner visiting Iran will face disaster if they mention the name Arabian Gulf. Immediately, these individuals will be detained with charges against the Iranian government. Number 12. Prohibition of alcohol. If you enjoy having alcoholic beverages with your meals, Iran is not the place for you. There won't be any alcoholic drinks available for you here, no matter how much money you have. Alcohol is prohibited in Islam. It is believed that the Quran prohibits alcohol because it is harmful to human health, can lead to addiction, and causes social disorder. A general warning is issued against Muslims attending prayers while intoxicated. Prophet Muhammad also stated that although alcohol has some medical benefits, its negative effects outweigh the benefits. Finally, intoxicants and gambling are called abominations of Satan's handiwork, warning conscious individuals not to turn away from God and forget to pray. Muslims are commanded to abstain from any intoxicating substance, as even a little is considered harmful and prohibited. Muslims adhere to abstinence from alcohol at all costs. Today, any acts of selling or using alcohol in Iran are strictly prohibited, and those who intentionally violate this regulation will be punished with corporal punishment or worse, imprisonment and torture. Number 11. Prohibition of using the thumb gesture. In today's culture, raising the thumb is commonly understood to express liking or agreement. However, in the traditional culture of Iran, it is considered offensive. Raising the thumb here is similar to raising the middle finger in front of someone. Iranians may misunderstand it as a challenge, and they may not hesitate to respond with a more aggressive gesture. Over time, most Iranians have come to understand the meaning of raising the thumb. Despite political tensions, Iranians are generally friendly and hospitable, so if you accidentally raise your thumb, most of them will likely feel uncomfortable but overlook it. However, in remote rural areas, the action of raising the thumb high can be easily misunderstood. Therefore, it's best not to use this gesture to compliment Iranians. Instead, use a different gesture like clapping. Number 10. Prohibition of premarital lovemaking. While premarital cohabitation is widely accepted in many cultures, in Iran it is viewed as a grave offense and brings disgrace upon individuals in society. In Islamic countries like Iran, lovemaking is a sensitive issue with a conservative perspective. Muslim women committing adultery or engaging in premarital lovemaking may face severe consequences, even risking their lives. Islamic law does not tolerate such liberal behavior. Even Muslim men who enjoy more privileges in marriage also face strict penalties for promiscuous behavior. Generally, regardless of gender, Muslim adherents only find safety in marital relationships. Engaging in extramarital relationships can result in severe punishment. Iranians, whether male or female, strictly adhere to marital relationships. Number 9. Prohibition of pork. Pork is a common meat consumed in almost all cultures worldwide, but in Iran, don't expect to find pork in their meals simply because they are Muslims. The main reason pork is prohibited for Muslims is mentioned in the Holy Quran, which declares certain foods as permissible, halal, and others as forbidden, haram, and pork is one of the forbidden foods. However, there is an exception mentioned in the Quran that permits the consumption of pork when one is hungry, and there is no other food available. This exception aligns with the dietary laws and kosher traditions of Jewish people. Pork is not considered impure in a physical sense, but is seen as ritually impure and not conducive to good health. Specific concerns about the health hazards of pork have been argued by scientists such as Hans Heinrich Reg, who claimed that Westerners consuming pork are more prone to diseases than those who abstain. Avoiding pork in Iran is not only following the command of the Almighty, but also a way for Iranians to differentiate themselves from the West. They take pride in abstaining from pork, considering it a symbol of cleanliness and moral superiority compared to Europeans who consume it. Number 8. Prohibition of immodest clothing. If you visit Iran in the summer, the heat will scorch you until you're dry. However, no matter how hot it is, never dress provocatively when going out. The clothing issue of Iranians in the summer becomes a hot topic with political undertones. Clerics in power advocate for a humble, modest lifestyle. The color black is considered the most elegant and modest, while makeup, jewelry, and even ties or necklaces are viewed as remnants of capitalism. In the summer, the moral police intensify surveillance on the streets to ensure people adhere to the rules. Most attention is directed towards women's clothing, which is already required to be a black chador, covering their entire bodies and concealing any exposed skin, waist, or ankles. Makeup, nail polish, or uncovered hair is strictly prohibited. However, many women still wear colorful clothing beneath their black chador and use makeup despite these restrictions. In recent years, men have also faced increased scrutiny, being prohibited from wearing shorts, necklaces, or having unconventional hairstyles like ponytails or rooster spikes. Offenders are either taken to a barber shop for a forced haircut or escorted home to change clothes. If they don't comply immediately, they may be arrested. Those arrested must sign a commitment to not repeat the offense in public before being released. Previously, women violating dress and jewelry regulations were physically punished, but this practice ceased in the mid-1990s. Iran's moral security plan is clearly politically motivated, seen as a way for the government to demonstrate control and divert public attention from current issues. Number 7. Prohibition of public displays of affection. Kissing, hugging, or holding hands can lead to arrest and punishment in Iran. While it might sound absurd, it is entirely true. Iran is a country with strict cultural and religious values where maintaining the privacy of affection and personal gestures is an integral part of traditional values and religion. According to Islamic law in Iran, both men and women are prohibited from publicly displaying affection because the country views it as a corrupting influence from the West. Public displays of affection are strictly forbidden, and individuals showing affection in an exaggerated manner may face penalties from the community or the government. In 2019, a couple in Iran went viral on social media for getting arrested while posing. The couple was detained by the police for violating both traditional and strict Islamic laws. They had to go through legal proceedings for their offense. The offense of this couple is very clear and doesn't require further explanation, said Deputy Police Chief of Erbil Mustafa Nourouzi. It is not acceptable that this couple has shown no respect for the culture, religion, and values of the country. It is truly unfortunate for couples in Iran that their romantic lives face so many obstacles due to these irrational and extreme regulations. Number 6. Prohibition of reading books about sorcery. With limited knowledge, many people in this Islamic country often turn to fortune tellers, divination and sorcerers to seek love spells, talismans, or protection. Some of these individuals have significant influence over hundreds of thousands of laborers in the country. In Iran, the moral police force was established with the primary goal of apprehending and prosecuting those considered sorcerers or involved in supernatural activities which are seen as threats to social order and religion. Books about sorcery are therefore strictly prohibited. Anyone reading, owning, or trading in books about sorcery can be arrested and charged as a sorcerer. Unfortunately, the moral police in Iran can make unlawful arrests without clear reasons. If you are found with a book they cannot read, they may immediately assume it is a book of sorcery, and the first action would be to arrest you and put you in custody until you confess or are declared innocent. Number 5. Prohibition of using the left hand. I don't know why they have such peculiar thoughts and beliefs, but we have to follow them if we don't want trouble in this country. In Iran, the left hand, for most of us, is just like the right hand, but in Islam, especially in the Muslim community in Iran, it is considered extremely dirty and prohibited in many activities. During religious rituals and important events, the use of the left hand is forbidden. Whether it's holding food, performing ceremonies, or shaking hands, the left hand is not to be used when giving or receiving gifts. Both hands should be used with the left hand placed under the right hand. Avoid using the index finger to point. Instead, use the thumb of the right hand and keep the other 4 fingers tightly clenched in the palm. Iranians generally prefer using the right hand for religious and significant activities, as the left hand is often associated with personal hygiene and considered unclean. It is advisable not to use the left hand to shake hands or handle food when in Iran. When receiving or passing items, use both hands with the left hand under the right hand to respect Islamic culture. Number 4. Persecution of the LGBT community. In Iran, you will rarely find, or it may be impossible to find, any openly LGBT individuals. Simply put, they can barely survive in this country. LGBT rights, including those of lesbians, gay men, bisexuals, and transgender individuals, face legal challenges that non-LGBT individuals do not encounter. Same-sex relations between consenting adults are illegal and considered extremely abominable. LGBT rights essentially do not exist since the Iranian Revolution. Any form of same-sex activity outside heterosexual marriage has been prohibited. Same-sex activities are punishable by imprisonment and physical punishment. Gay men have faced stricter enforcement actions under the law compared to lesbian individuals. Iran's persecution of the LGBT community largely stems from Islamic beliefs. In Islam, same-sex relationships are often seen as violations of moral and traditional codes. The Quran references the story of the people of Lot, who were destroyed by God's wrath because they engaged in homosexual acts. Same-sex activities are forbidden in traditional Islamic jurisprudence and carry severe penalties, with the most extreme being the death penalty. Following the supreme order, Iranians generally hold a hateful and ostracizing attitude towards LGBT individuals. LGBT individuals in Iran must either conceal their true gender identities for their entire lives or find ways to escape the country to live openly. Number 3. Prohibition of using social media. Once again we encounter the phrase Western cultural invasion in Iran. Along with the ban on dog ownership, popular global social media platforms such as Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube, and formerly Twitter are prohibited. This measure aims to prevent the spread of anti-regime sentiments that Iran believes the US and the West are trying to promote. It also aims to restrict the leakage of domestic political issues to the outside world. Speaking of the relationship between Iran and the US, these two nations were close allies until tensions erupted after the 1979 Iranian Revolution. There are various opinions about the reasons behind the deteriorating relations between these two countries. The main reason for the worsening relationship is the repeated human rights violations by Iranian Islamism, with the peak being the Iran hostage crisis that took place from May 1979 to May 1980. Approximately 52 people, including US diplomats and citizens, were taken hostage by Iran and held for 444 days. This incident, coupled with differing ideologies and Iran's controversial nuclear program, led to strained relations. Returning to the topic of countering Western culture, Iranians still use social media despite the government's restrictions. They access blocked content through virtual private networks, VPNs. Interestingly, even Iranian officials use VPNs to access banned websites. Many individuals create Facebook accounts to connect with the outside world. Number 2. Ban on dog ownership. While the rest of the world considers dogs loyal and adorable companions assisting humans, Iran prohibits all citizens from owning dogs. The reason is that, in Islam, dogs are considered impure, and keeping dogs is an uncommon practice in Iran. However, some families in the country, especially in urban areas, still keep them as pets, and many people walk their dogs in public. In the past, Iran's religious police actively opposed releasing dogs in public spaces, and issued warnings about confiscating these animals if discovered. Things took a turn for the worse for dog lovers when, in 2014, Iran officially banned citizens from keeping dogs. The given reason was that dogs could spread diseases to humans due to their impurity, and more importantly, dog ownership was seen as blindly imitating Western culture. As soon as the ban on dog ownership was announced, dogs in Iran were immediately sent to hell. Stray dogs and pet dogs alike, any dog spotted by the police would be killed. In 2015, a short film depicting several stray dogs being killed by the police in Iran circulated widely, sparking condemnation and protests involving celebrities and animal lovers. The 2-minute video showed dogs seemingly being injected with acid at the Shiraz industrial zone, 900 kilometers south of Tehran. Many outraged individuals protested in Shiraz and other cities, including Karaj, west of Tehran, as well as at the vice president's office in Tehran. However, the protesters' efforts couldn't bring justice for the dogs, and to this day, dogs in Iran are hunted and killed daily. Number 1. Bans on entering mosques. It seems that the enticing and magnificent Islamic mosques would be the first places you'd visit when exploring Islamic countries like Iran. For the local community, these temples are not just places to connect with the Supreme Being, but also hold special sanctity in their souls. When visiting Islamic mosques, one must maintain respect and adhere to strict rules to show respect for Islam. Mosques establish regulations regarding clothing. Everyone must comply with dress code rules or they will be denied entry. Wear modest, long-sleeved clothing, avoiding revealing or tight attire. Men should avoid t-shirts and shorts, opting for loose-fitting trousers and refrain from wearing flip-flops. Women must wear a headscarf. If you have long hair, tie it up or back to secure the headscarf better and protect your hair. The clothing should be serious, with loose, long attire that covers wrists. Alternatively, wear a long skirt that reaches the ankles. Everyone must remove their shoes before entering the mosque, making loafers the preferred footwear. Stay within the allowed visiting area of the mosque and refrain from wandering around. Children need close supervision. They should not run or jump inside the mosque and its surrounding areas, and must follow the mosque's strict regulations. Smoking and bringing food into the mosque area are prohibited. Do not touch the Quran or any items inside the prayer hall. This is a principle that must be strictly followed. So, we have gone through 15 prohibitions in Iran, where local culture, religion, and laws have shaped a significant part of daily life. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Please like, share, and subscribe to support our channel, and don't forget to follow for new content.